Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Saturday, June 25th, 2016. My name is Rich, and with me for the second time this week is Bijan. How are you making out now?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Doing great. Doing good. Is the weather getting better there yet?
Man, finally it is. The weather is not as deadly or deathly as yesterday, but it's still hot, man. I'm just slugging through it. All sweaty and sticky. It's gross.
So yeah, we're here to cover Spartan race, the Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge, which have decided to make it difficult on us by not really having different regions or any way to qualify the different episodes. So we're looking at episode 2 of season 1.
Yeah, that works, you know.
Yeah. So it's Chattahoochee Hills again, I guess. So what did you think overall of this episode? Did you find it as good as first?
I'm more interested in how you feel, because I feel like this episode was a huge improvement from last week. There's one glaring problem that I had a big issue with this episode, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. I felt like it flowed a lot better. I felt like the 3 finalist teams were well distinguished, like we knew them, and we had rooting calls for all 3. I think they introduced more of the obstacles. It's still kind of iffy because I feel like they're using the same obstacles as they did last week, which kind of worries me. But hey, maybe they're just doing the Team Ninja Warrior route. But overall, man, I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It pulled me in a little better than the first one, so I was pleasantly surprised. I liked some of the teams. I liked the stories. Yeah, overall, it was a good episode. I say it was a little stronger than the first one.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, the bar was a little bit low. I think I gave it a 6.5. Watching it a second time, I was like, oh boy, I could really see a lot of the issues. But I was so optimistic. This episode really... I was pleasantly surprised, because I was worried that they were going to make the same mistakes they did last week. And they made some mistakes, but it wasn't as bad. Production-wise, I should say. Okay,
so the teams we had this time were for the first heat, we had Grey Guard versus Muddy Buddies and Nashville Noise.
Nobody knows who those 2 other teams are.
Isn't that ridiculous? Like, that's the thing that kind of kills me about this whole thing, right? Like, you have no time to really get invested in the teams.
Honestly, I don't really have an issue. I feel like it's blatantly obvious where people will place on the show, and I'm almost all right with that as long as we get more of the course and more of the journey involved with it. I'm sure you might have a different opinion, but as long as we get the backstory of the 3 finalist teams and we get more of the course, I'm all right with it. We only have an hour. We can't spend all this time on every single little team.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not as invested in the teams because we don't know who the heck they are, and they seem to be fast forwarding one of the heats every time. They pretty much have to squeeze it into the time frame. Yeah, it kind of sucks. I feel bad for the people that, like, hey, everybody, watch the show that I'm going to be featured in, and you get your friends and family all hyped up to see you're on this big show, and they just show one little clip with you and your team running along, and that's it. That's the only thing you'll ever see of a couple of these teams.
Yeah, it's almost like they're racing just to be featured on the show, right?
Yeah, it really sucks. I guess you more incentive to do well, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I do appreciate at the beginning of the episode they went through, like they glossed over every obstacle, it seemed. So I appreciate the fact that they introduced the audience to a lot of the obstacles. They still didn't really spend a lot of time breaking down like what they had to go through with the obstacles, but I appreciated that. And also I appreciate the fact that at least the announcers, I didn't really get this from them last week, but this week we did get a clarification with the log swinger. What's the one where you do the trapeze swing in the lake?
I thought it was log swing. I have lake swing written down. I don't know which one it is now.
Yeah, but everybody knows the trapeze one to the mat in the water. I appreciate the fact that they clarified a little bit, where if you miss the pad, you have to stay in the water the whole time, and it's freezing cold. So at least there is some semblance of a penalty if they don't make it on the pad. I would still like it a whole lot more if they had to reset, but that's nitpicking. Or wishful thinking, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because that was one of the highlights of the night for me was like, oh, okay, that makes sense then. Like, I was really happy to get that clarification too. So, yeah, that was one good thing to note. They fast-forwarded that group, and then we end up seeing the Bounce Squad versus Farm Strong and Brotherly Love.
I liked this particular segment.
Yeah, I thought they were good teams. I thought they were really interesting. Bounce Squad was like the trampoline park people, right? And Farm Strong was a really interesting team of some older competitors.
Dude, I loved Farm Squad so incredibly much. And it was just, for me, the big one was the, I forgot her age, but she was in her 50s, the mother, the grandma or the mother. She was so awesome just doing all this stuff, and then at the end she's like, oh, I have to do this again.
That was my that was the best. That was exactly my reaction of like, wait a minute, no, I did good, I should be done. This was like, I should get rewarded. I shouldn't have to go through that whole thing again. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that lady was so incredibly awesome. I wanted them to just win it all just because of that mom. She was great, man. But I really enjoyed Bounce Squad as well. They had a really cool dynamic. I felt like the editing really telegraphed their win, but we'll get into that later. And I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the fact that we had two teams to root for in one heat.
Yeah, there was no... we don't really have villains, I guess, but at the same time, that you can see them kind of pushing one or the other. It was kind of hard to tell which one they were really... Which one? I didn't think it was all that obvious. I knew it was going to be one of them. I guess it was obvious that both of them were going to be moving on, but other than that...
Yeah. I'm talking about... Well, we'll get into it later. It was one big thing that I really had an issue with.
Oh, it was interesting when they first took off running. Did you find it strange that their team captain for Farm Strong was saying no need to run, like getting them to slow down?
No, that was very smart. It would surprise me if the distance between obstacles was greater, but it is a 1 mile course. The thing that's going to distinguish the teams is going to be how well they get through the obstacles, rather than the transition run. So when you're dealing with a team that's older and has never really trained for obstacle courses, they said the entire team has never done anything like this. Especially when you have somebody in their 50s, it's a lot smarter for them to conserve their energy for the obstacles where they're going to strain a whole lot more.
Oh, I just realized something. So I noted this was called the lake swing instead of the log swing because it didn't actually have a log this time. Remember, it was actually a trapeze bar.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of iffy on it. I'm like, that doesn't make sense for it to be called the log swing.
Yeah, that's why they called this one the lake swing. It must have been.
Lake swing, that's the name. Okay.
So they had two guys going at once, which worked really well at first, but then totally fell apart on them later.
Yeah, it was smart. The difference is that they had the two guys in sync going at the same time when they did it. Or not actually in sync. I think one went and then another grabbed on. But they were the more athletic ones that knew how to particularly jump to the bar. Later on, they tried the entire team, and a lot of the team got tripped up because they're a lot shorter. They might not necessarily be able to jump or time it correctly. Jump as high, I should say, or time it correctly. So... yeah, I just think they misjudged who was capable of catching that bar.
So yeah, right around that time, they actually flash back to Grey Guard winning Heat 1, which actually drives me nuts in every episode. Like I
have a big problem with that too.
If you're going to show it, I would rather see it at the beginning. I hate when they show it in the middle. Now I'm confused. So wait a minute, which? Mm-hmm. So was this the one we were just watching? No, this was the other one.
Yeah, it's not just that. It takes away from you being invested in what's going on, right? It just kills the momentum.
Yeah, it distracts you. It's just not a good time to do it, I don't think.
It's really annoying. for me, the most frustrating part, I guess we can get into it now. There is one thing that I had a bigger issue with, but one thing that's just really annoying for me that I noticed last episode and definitely this episode as well, the damn spear throw, right? Every time they throw a spear, they have this awful, ridiculous sound that the spears never ever make in real life. And it's so incredibly annoying. It's like this annoying whistling sound. Have you noticed that?
No, but I'll end up hearing it now. So,
dude, that's like for you with the audience. For me, that's all I hear, and it's so annoying.
You know what's funny is I was listening for the audience this time, and I didn't hear it once. It was only in the first episode that it was really standing out.
Yeah, so I this show reminds me a lot of like the first and second season of American Ninja Warrior, where they're just making a lot of production-wise mistakes that could be easily remedied. And definitely transition from last episode to this episode. It almost seems as though it transferred over to maybe season 3 of American Ninja Warrior, where there's still some really annoying things that the producers probably get mandated to do, but they're at least fixing some of the problems from the previous episode. Just as an example, you know, they are clarifying more of the obstacles. They are giving a little bit more time, and the flow of the show is going a lot better. There's still these small mistakes where they are breaking in the middle of the heat, but they are improving, it seems.
Yeah, what did you... jumping topics a little bit here, but Kyle Wooch Graff, I guess his name is... what did you think of him stripping down to his thong, which I guess is the thing he normally does?
For a second there, I'm like, I have no idea who you're talking about. The thong guy, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a way to get on TV and be noticed, right?
I suppose, but what's funny is they say he does that anyway. Like, it's not a TV thing. That's just something he does.
That guy really likes being naked. I don't know. Or likes being, like, just comfortable in his skin. Good on him, I guess. I mean, if I was running a Spartan race, I'd be like, oh, bro, like, could you cover up, please? But I don't know. It's a way to be noticed. There's much better ways, but
from a practical perspective, doesn't that seem like it would be, you mean like
terrible idea?
Yeah, like you're gonna get hooked on some barbed wire or something that's gonna just seems like some bad things could happen.
Oh yeah, it's an awful idea. I mean, when you do Spartans, you get cut all over your body. Any part that's your skin's exposed, you get cut up, right? Especially on your arms and legs. So you have to imagine those butt cheeks are just thrashed. But like, I don't know, man. Maybe he just likes showing off the skin, you know, showing to the ladies what he's got.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like to me, I think it was fine. It was kind of funny at first, but I thought it was kind of awkward almost with his team. Like, it just seemed so out of place with the older competitors. Is like, I think it just made the whole thing a little strange.
Was it his mom that was running with him, or was she somebody else's mom?
I think it was just somebody else's mom.
Oh, okay, I was about to say, if that's his mom, man,
really awkward. Yeah,
like, yeah.
I liked how they called there's like a group of obstacles all next to each other, which I think itself is a good idea, because when somebody gets ahead, it's nice you want to see them together, right? You wouldn't want a whole race where one team's way out in front of everybody else and you don't even see them on the screen at the same time. So plus the arena, as I say, the arena, as they called it, with the spear throw, totem climb, and timber drop is great for that, right? Because you kind of get them all grouping up.
And Hercules hoist.
Is that there too?
Yeah, I seen it right behind the rope climb thing.
Oh, okay.
And I must say, I'm so happy about that, because those are more of the more exhausting obstacles. So the Hercules hoist for me is the hardest, one of the most hardest obstacles there are. And it really isn't visually exciting, but it is just the worst. It just drains everything in you. So having that followed by a rope climb is just so brilliant. I mean, that has got to be the worst on the competitors. So I like that a lot.
Did you notice on the spear throw, one thing that really bugged me? I was getting angry at this lady standing to the side from the purple team when they were doing the spear throw. So they all have to pull the rope to bring the target closer. And one of them, after she threw her spear, which she did hit, I'm pretty sure, she stood to the side and just let the rest of them hold the rope while the other ones were throwing. Like, would you get in there and grab the rope? What are you doing?
What rope are we talking about?
So they on the spear throw, they can pull the target closer, right? So the rest of the team pulls the target.
I did not know that. I didn't notice that. They can actually pull the target closer, huh?
Yeah, 2 episodes. You didn't notice that in either one of them?
No, I just noticed them throwing a spear in that annoying soundbite.
Yeah, so the target's like on, I don't know, wheels or something, right? They can pull the target, like the rest of the team pulls this rope and pulls the target in close so the other person can throw and hit it with the spear.
So is it like on an angle or like a spring where if you let go, it just goes more back?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's smart, I guess. Hopefully it's super heavy, right? So they can hold it. Didn't notice that.
Yeah,
but that adds something to it at least.
I like it because, normally they would be standing around watching one person after another throw the spear. This gives them all something to do while they're trying the spear throw. Yeah,
definitely. I appreciate the fact that they showed more of the difficulty of the spear throw this episode. There was one elite athlete that couldn't get it. I think her name was Amanda Boone, right? Or something like that.
Amelia Boone, yeah.
Amelia Boone, yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that because that spear throw is the worst. I always say it. But yeah, it was cool watching it. And yeah, there was also one particular thing in the obstacle, a little soundbite. It's a little later on, but the wall, the walls that you have to go crawl under in the water.
Oh yeah, the what the heck are they called? The dunk walls, I think they're called.
Dunk walls, yeah. For everybody that doesn't know, Rich has all the obstacles. I don't, so that's why they're like, why doesn't this guy know?
That's funny because I didn't write them down this time because I didn't bother. Like last time, I had all them written down. I actually went from memory on that one.
So Rich is just super good at remembering stuff.
Some of it.
Good on you, bro. So the dunk walls, they said in this episode that the height from the bottom, like just the gap that you have to crawl under, is just 18 inches. So I really appreciated that because it gives you a feel for how difficult you have to crawl underneath the dang thing.
Yeah, it's funny because you had mentioned about how they didn't do that justice. So this time I was really paying attention when they were talking about that. So
yeah, that's 1.5 feet, everybody. That is just imagine that under freezing cold water and you have to crawl far forward. That sucks.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, no, thanks. So we had a little back and forth there with Farmstrong and Brotherly Love on the spear throw and totem climb. They passed and then went passed back. And then they passed again on the timber drop because it was kind of becoming a really close race. And then they got to the slip wall, which is really easily the most exciting part of the whole race every time, right?
Yeah, I mean, one problem that I have with the course, which I wish they diversified, there are some obstacles where visually they can look cool, right? But they just don't really do anything for switching up the placement of the teams. Something even like the timber drop, right? It looks difficult, and I appreciate the difficulty involved, but it really doesn't have this point where it's really going to trip up a team. Now, last episode we saw, I think somebody slowed up and didn't get very fat or go up it very quickly. But overall, it just isn't too meaningful for the show. And I feel like there's a few obstacles that do that. And I wish there were more obstacles like the slip wall or even the dunk walls or, rope climb, Hercules hoist, stuff like that, where you really get to have a chance of switching up the teams based on different talents that they have.
It's funny you say that because, I think that's actually where Farmstrong took the lead and how they ended up beating out Brotherly Love for the second place is the timber drop because they all have to scoot up that log. We saw one guy really struggling to make any progress up it. I don't know. I kind of disagree with you on that one. I think it does give them an opportunity. It slows down the whole team as they got to progress one by one up this log.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not that particular obstacle, but I feel like there's other obstacles that are doing that. And I think the problem is that I wish they had more variety on this show. Just switch some things up.
Yeah, I mean, they've got so many obstacles. I would almost rather them stretch out the length of the running a bit, because they're only showing a couple of the obstacles anyway, and have them, the second heat, have them do different obstacles, right? Have a different path. They hit different obstacles, so they're not repeating the same obstacles over again that they're already used to, right? They've got new challenges to face.
Yeah, or if not that, just do it kind of like how American Ninja Warrior does it, where the first heat you do maybe 2/3 of the obstacles, and then the finals you at least get some more of the challenging obstacles, maybe that arena part. Well, then maybe it's not as exciting. So I see both sides of it, but just add something to the end of it where it just changes things up and amps up the difficulty just a little bit.
That's funny because actually you're right. That would be consistent with both American Ninja Warrior and Team Ninja Warrior, where now the part that was the finish line before is now your halfway point, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. The slip wall becomes the midway point, and you've got to do a Hercules, I don't know, whatever, some other big team thing, maybe that totem climb at the end or something.
Yeah, because for me, the big problem is that you already know all the team's strengths when you get to the finals. So you already have a good idea of how well the teams are going to do. And of course, things can change, right? People can learn and do everything. But athletically, you can see how well people will fare for the most part.
All right, so in the heat, we get to see Bounce Squad ended up winning, and Farm Strong got second. So that I don't know how they did that. Actually, I had never would have guessed that in a million years that they would have got second.
I was so happy. I was so happy, and the cool part is that they were racing against the clock, and it came down to seconds, dude. What was it, like a 20-second difference? Like it came really close. I didn't think they were actually able to. I didn't think they were going to make it up that wall in time. Did you?
No, I thought they were. Yeah, there's no way, but they did. They did a good job. I don't understand how that works. I mean, and I've heard you talk about it, and we've seen in the past. I don't understand why these types of races are as equal as they are. Not to say that there's not elites, of course, but it doesn't seem to have the disparity that we see on Ninja Warrior, for example, as we keep comparing it to. But where
you mean like placement of the teams?
Yeah, like there's just no way that would happen on Ninja Warrior, that you would have people that have never run the course, who are older competitors, compete on that same equal footing. It just seems weird to me.
Yeah, I think the big problem is that the course is just so short, right? So there's only so much of a gap you can make from the first team and the last team. And maybe if the course is longer, there would be much more of a disparity.
Just to be clear,
I think maybe the producers wanted that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not complaining at all. I think it's fantastic. I don't understand how it happens. It's kind of interesting to me that it does break down that way. Where I guess going back to, the comment that I was thinking of is when you told me that the men and women are much more evenly represented in Spartan than in Ninja Obstacles. And it seems to hold true here in that they actually compete fairly evenly, too.
Yeah, I was about to say, I hope you see that. It's interesting. I don't know how you feel about this, but how would you feel if they had something like this, right? Like how the format is on this show, the Spartan show, but they had all the top athletes from Spartan race, and they just had this really crazy course where it was super difficult. Kind of like American Ninja Warrior, right? Where all the top athletes, the Vidells, the Wetzels, all those people, and they just had all of these obstacles, but singular person, and just amped up to like double the difficulty. How'd you feel about that? Because I kind of feel like that would be a more exciting show. Now, it would be a very different show, but I feel like it might be more exciting. But maybe I'm just seeing it just as a perspective of somebody that's done them.
No, see, I think it would be too. But I think, for a more general population, it probably makes sense to have the more average Joes running the course just to draw everybody in. So I get why they would do it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I would enjoy watching the elites run more.
Yeah, maybe hopefully we get kind of like a special, maybe an elite special, kind of like how they do with American Ninja Warrior. I know it's wishful thinking for me because I don't know how many episodes they're getting for this first season. Probably not a lot. But maybe if it does well, we might get something like that later next season. Maybe
they should have had the third seed determined that way, have all the captains run against each other.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome, right? I didn't even think of that. That would be exciting. That would be something to see.
I just thought of that now, actually. I think that would be really entertaining. Especially if they just ran the course, right? Yeah. So they have to run it again immediately. Yeah.
And it's cool too because you could definitely see just the women kick butt when it comes to Spartan. I mean, when I'm running it, the women are just blowing past me and just doing everything easily, and I'm just like, I can't keep up with these ladies. Like, they're just kicking my butt. And on this show, I think you could see it also. Like, a lot of these women are just right there with the men. But the one thing that a lot of the women are stronger at than the men when it comes to this is more of the balance, agility, obstacles, and just dealing with the terrain. And I feel like a lot of these obstacles are more based on arm strength, maybe because American Ninja Warrior producers really like those obstacles. But, you know, in traditional Spartans, there's a good mix between the two, and this they're kind of just going for more of the strength ones, which I understand. You know, it shows the fatigue and everything, but yeah, there could be some mix up, and I think I'd like some more mixing up with the obstacles and some more diversity.
Yeah, the women definitely represented to the point that I actually, while watching the show, grabbed my phone and went to start following Amelia Boone. Like, just from what I saw in the show.
Tough lady, man.
Yeah, very tough. So yeah, from there we moved on to the final heat, which was Grey Guard versus Bounce Squad and Farm Strong.
So happy.
Grey Guard, the average age was 49 and a half. Oh my God.
That's so awesome. I mean, they showed the guy with the I forget what it is, but I think it's his heels or his ankles that have issues, and he's got those supports. And you see just the whole team in general, they're in such a happy spirit and mood, right, for being old and doing all this. Not old, but, you know, older than the regular competitors. And I really enjoyed just their general attitude and excitement for doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the Farm Strong competitors. He's 58 years old, and he had leg braces.
Oh, am I getting it wrong? Oh, my bad. Farm Strong. Okay, so for the Grey Guard, is it just that they're older?
Yeah, pretty much. And what I thought was funny is the 39-year-old lady's taking issue with them lumping her into the 49 and a half, right? Like, it's because most of them were in their 50s. They were pulling the average up to that high, and she was the young lady at 39.
Yeah, she's really fit for her age, too.
Oh, God, yeah, they all are in pretty good shape.
Yeah, but for her in general, because, like, I remember they said she's 39. I was like, what? Like, she looks like she's, like, just barely in her 30s.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the double up technique that they had used earlier on the leg swing definitely did not work for them now. And then they showed, this is the second episode to go in a row. I'm hoping that it's just that they're saving this up. That log traverse looks amazing. And they don't show us enough of it. You know what I mean? Like that giant log
like that
thing.
is, yeah, that you gotta crawl like on the side of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool looking. And for me, I'm most interested in that particular obstacle, and they never show it. I don't know what the problem is.
I think they're holding back so that they have something, so we get excited about the later episodes. I don't know. I can't figure out why else they wouldn't show it.
If they're worried about that, then they could have easily fixed it by just having some diversity in their damn obstacles, right?
Yeah, that would be one way to do it.
Yeah, around this point, they had, for the second time this episode, a video package of, what's her name? She was with her mom.
It was
about her mom, I should say.
Tia Jackson.
So this is where I had the biggest issue with this episode and the show in general. And I don't get it, man. I feel like the producers, they just had to do it, man. They just couldn't keep it back. They just had to milk this story for all it had. They had her say the story earlier in the episode, and I was fine with that, right? But then, in the middle of this race, in the finals, where I'm all excited and I'm trying to figure out who might win, you know, I'm like, oh, are they going to go farther? Or is Farm Strong going to make it? You know, I was rooting for Farm Strong, so I was all excited. And then they throw this package in the middle of the race for no apparent reason. And it was so annoying for me. First of all, it was the second time we saw it, so for me, it just instantly annoyed me rather than actually caring about the story. And I suck saying that because I do care for her story, right? It's a heartbreaking story, but it was the worst timing whatsoever. It's like if you're in this if you're in the middle of a really good story and you're making everybody laugh, and all of a sudden somebody just butts in and starts talking to you. You're like, dude, what are you doing, dude? Like, I'm in the middle of talking to somebody. there was that, but not just that. Since they panned it up so much, and it was the second time, for me at least, it was blatantly obvious that this team was going to win. They didn't hype up any other team like this. For me, it was obvious they were going to win, and it took it all out for me, man.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Yeah, I think you said it all. I don't really have any to add to that. Like you said, you don't want to get down on T. It's not her fault that they aired it this way. I just don't like the order that they're doing this in. I would feel the same way about any show. You know, if you're watching the NBA Finals and it's in the last quarter and everything's going along, and all of a sudden it's like, and let's talk about LeBron James's childhood. Like, no, stop. We want to watch the game. What are you doing?
Yeah. Perfect example, right? Like, it has nothing to do with Tia. Like, she's a lovely lady, and her story, her mom, heartbreaking. I love everything about it. But terrible timing, hamming it up too much, just everything about it was just all the frustrations we had about American Ninja Warrior in their mid-seasons, where they're hamming up the stories far too much. They're doing it on this show. It is killing the enjoyment for me. Stop doing this. If you want the stories, do it before the races. Do whatever you want to do, but do not do it in the middle of the race.
All right. So I'm sure they'll make
Sorry, I just had to unload. Like, it was just so incredibly frustrating for me.
I'm sure they're listening, and they'll make the changes for you, Bijan. Don't worry about it. We'll get that taken care of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm waiting with bated breath on that.
Maybe next season. Okay, and then they moved on to the Hercules hoist. 350 pounds. That's a lot of weight, man. And it definitely made the difference here, because Bounce Squad retook the lead at that point. And even though they had some slips on the slip wall, they ended up making it through and winning the whole deal.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say I was shocked, because I wasn't. But I do appreciate, that Hercules hoist is there. It is just an unbelievably tough obstacle in real life to do. And yeah, I don't know. There's not much really to say. It took all the intrigue out of it for me, and yeah, I don't really know.
So, but overall, a good episode, I think, as we said.
Yeah, even though I'm really upset about what happened at the end, guys, I really enjoyed this episode for everything that happened prior to the whole the video montage thingy at the end.
Yeah, and I liked it. I especially liked Farm Strong. I really liked that team. I wish they could have moved on, but awesome. Bounce Squad was good too. I didn't have any issue with them. So,
hey, you think they'll have like a wild card spot at the very end?
I bet they do. Yeah.
Oh, if they do, please make it the Farm Squad. They're so awesome.
So yeah, because they're gonna have 6 teams moving on to the finals. Does that work out? Yeah, I guess it kind of works out, doesn't it?
How many episodes do we have in these heats? Are we going to have 6 episodes in the qualifiers?
Yeah, so for 6 weeks, we'll have one team going, one team staying each week, and then there's the finals. So since we have 6 teams in an episode, I guess the final episode would be able to narrow it down to just one winner.
Yeah, and one thing I just noticed, man, we haven't gotten any of the American Ninja Warriors on the show yet, so I think they're keeping them for later on. It's really interesting, because you'd figure like they'd throw one of the big stars on this episode coming after American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, I kind of thought so too. I'm not even sure who's all in there. Arguably you could say Rose Wetzel, but she's...
Yeah, but there's Grant McCartney, there's Kevin Bull. I think they said Lance Pekus is also one of the runners.
Yeah, that's right. That's the 3 I've heard of so far.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any more. I figure there probably are, but we'll probably see later on. But who knows? For all we know, they're probably on this episode as one of the 2 teams that were skipped. Who knows?
Can you imagine how mad people will be if that was the case?
Hey, it wouldn't shock me, man. We had Felice Herrig skipped completely on American Ninja Warrior, so who knows?
That's true, and there was an update on that. Do you want to kind of bring everybody up to speed on it?
So should we do that on this one? Well, I guess now that we're doing it.
I really don't think people are going to separate out these episodes that much. I mean, if you're listening right now, chances are you're probably a fan of both shows, I would think.
So we have a small update on Felice Herrig. Basically, there was a post made on Facebook by Sucker Punch Entertainment. And they have a post saying, this could be all speculation because it isn't confirmed by NBC from what I've read, or Felice Herrig, but this is what it says. It says, NBC has sent an email apologizing for not airing Felice Herrig's run on the American Ninja Warrior course. They heard and felt the backlash on social media and are working on getting a video put out. She didn't finish the course, but did very respectable. And we found it disingenuous that they would be so quick to air her failing earlier last season, but not air her redeeming herself this season. Thanks to all her fans for the support, and we will keep you posted on the video. So it seems as though NBC is working on, resolving the issue. And I at least appreciate that, but it really shouldn't have gotten to this point. And it still doesn't really address the issue where a lot of people have been skipped this season on American Ninja Warrior. But we can go in more in depth that on our other, next week's American Ninja Warrior show, right? But there's a little update for anybody that was wondering about Felice Herrig this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll definitely get into that again. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this episode. I did actually want to share a commercial for another podcast, so we may be featuring these once in a while. In the past, we have kind of played ones that were, for example, for the Final Stage podcast, which was related, but we're going to actually try to pick up a few unrelated ones, and they're ones that I've listened to and enjoyed an episode of. So here is an ad for one called the Secret Transmission Podcast.
Are you afraid of what goes bump in the night?
Have you or your friends ever pondered a conspiracy?
Do you want to know more about the unknown?
If so, then put on your tinfoil hat, sit down, and pick up your computer, tablet, or phone. Go to iTunes or YouTube and search for Secret Transmission Podcast and listen to us try to explain the unexplainable.
Follow us on Twitter for updates on shows.
At Secret Trans Pod. That's SecretTranspod.
Or you can email us suggestions
at secrettransmission@hotmail.com. That's SecretTransmission@hotmail.com.
And there we go. So I do... Yeah, a little different, right?
Yeah.
I can hear it in your tone. You're like, what are you doing? Why are you playing that?
Do your thing, man. Moving on.
So we'll be featuring some advertisements like that once in a while, and I hope you will check out the other podcasts, and they're going to be featuring commercials for us as well, so it's kind of a cool way to help each other out. So that is it for this episode. We're actually be coming back pretty quickly this time because the schedule for the show is absolutely insane. They're going to have another Spartan race airing on Thursday, which means it's actually in the past when you're listening to this. So we're having like 2 episodes in 1 week.
No sleep. Just no sleep for us.
Yeah, it's absolutely... So I don't think people realize what time we record this at. It's actually almost 2 a.m. right now when we're talking at 2 a.m. my time.
Yay.
Yeah. Somehow still awake, but we're going to push through. So in our next episode, we're actually going to have a special guest, Matt B. Davis. He is a co-founder of Obstacle Racing Media, and he's the writer of the book Down and Dirty, The Essential Training Guide for Obstacle Races and Mud Runs. So we've got like a Spartan expert joining us to kind of give his opinions of the show, and we'll see what he thinks of it too. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, just as somebody where obstacle course racing, especially Spartan racing, is kind of like their life. I'm really interested to see how they feel about this.
Yeah, so we just thought it would be good to get his perspective. So we will be getting that out for next week, which means the next episode is going to be a little bit longer than usual, the turnaround time, but we will have it out before the next one airs. So
yeah, it's going to be a little later too, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's probably, I'm going to say next Tuesday, we'll probably have it out. Wednesday at the latest.
Yeah, so keep an eye out, guys. It's definitely going to be an episode you're going to want to listen to. I'm really excited for it.
All right, so thank you all for tuning in once again. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can reach us on Twitter and Instagram. That's @Ninja Podcast. Or you can email us at rich@ninjapodcast.com. And Bijan, toss out your social media as well.
Instagram and Twitter at Bijan151. It's BIJAN 151.
All right, well, thank you all for listening once again, and I hope you have a great week.
Peace.